Welcome back to the 3-Hour News Show. We're in the segment of the See the Stories, our signature segment, and we are going to talk about ASEAN Dengue Day as we commemorate the day today. Now, I wonder, have you ever heard of a public service advertisement about dengue with the 3M slogan, which means drain, cover, and bury? This is in Indonesian. This is in English. Drain, cover, and bury.
Yes, I have.
You have?
Of course, I have seen it. You know.
Even in my house complex, there are usually this, I don't know, like a group of people in the housing complex. They always walk around and check on people's houses whether we have like water there stayed on your plant or something, or on some kind of a bucket that is never being cleaned.
Right.
That would be a good habitat for mosquito eggs.
Mosquitoes, yes.
And it was an old slogan as well. Now the technology is getting more advanced with dengue research keeping up with the times.
So today we'll discuss about dengue with pediatrician and clinical researcher Dr. Egy Arguni. So good evening, Doc.
Hi.
Good evening. Hi, thank you for joining us on a 3-Hour News Show on See today. So Doc, how do we tell if someone has regular or the worst type of dengue?
Actually, I want to explain first that the dengue infection actually have a very wide range of disease. It is start from asymptomatic, means you didn't show any sign and symptom, and up to the severe manifestation, for example, with bleeding, and with the comatose, with the decrease of consciousness, and then with the shock, and up to the death. So the range is very wide. And then if the question is how can we identify the one had the mild dengue infection or the one had the more severe dengue infections, we basically have this terminology of dengue fever, dengue hemorrhagic fever, right? We sometimes hear that as the DHF, okay? And then actually in the whole natural course of a dengue infection in one patient can be divided into the febrile phase, means that the first day of fever, you got fever, up to 3 days of fever, and then you move into the critical phase. It is around the 4th day until 5th day of fever, and then after that you will get improvement and then move into the convalescence phase. So if we are in the febrile phase, I think it is very difficult for us, even for the senior doctors, to differentiate between what is the exactly kind of this dengue infection, especially because of sign and symptom of dengue is very overlap with other kind of febrile illnesses. For example, you had typhoid, right? And we also had the influenza, for example, and especially we got COVID years before, and in the area with the endemies of malaria, for example, we got very similar sign and symptom during this 3rd days of fever. But actually at the end of this febrile phase, we call as there are warning signs, tanda peringatan. So the warning signs, for example, you had the abdominal ache, nyeri perut, and also vomiting, and also, for example, you get the bleeding, not only the severe bleeding, but for example, epistaxis, and also you brush your teeth and then you got your gum
Is bleeding?
bleeding, for example, yes, bleeding. Or maybe if you already got the very low level of thrombocyte, and then maybe you will get the kind of petechiae in your skin. So it is several a warning signs that we usually educate the parents, educate the patient. If you had this kind of sign and symptoms, do not postpone to go to the hospital or to the doctor, because it could be the signs for having the more severe kind of dengue infection.
All right. Now, I've got a little bit of data here, doctor. So the number of dengue hemorrhagic fever cases, it's said that it will be threefold in 2024 compared to 2023. So we're wondering, why don't we have maybe education or advocation enough for people to know that there is a vaccination? We do have vaccination here in Indonesia, right, doctor? Maybe you could explain about that.
It is the trend of dengue incidents, not only in Indonesia but around the world, is increasing because several factors. The most important factors is the global warming. You know, dengue infection is infection that transmitted by mosquito. Especially the Aedes aegypti mosquito. And because of this global warming, not only the tropical area of the earth have this high burden of Aedes aegypti, but also upper and lower, the subtropical area also now have the very favorable condition for the mosquito. So it can increase the possibility of factors in that area, in that countries. So the incidence of dengue infections rising now. That's the most I think the most important factor. But the other thing that we can now understand that our factor control measurement or factor control program is not maximum, right? It is even, we also call it as 3M. It is the eliminating of the breeding site around your house. But if it is only done by one house, for example, not being done by other houses around you, so it is useless because mosquito flies, right? And then they can find another breeding site, not in your house maybe, but in your neighbor's house, for example. Yes, that's why we are thinking that our effort or our program for dengue factor control is not maximum yet.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you are right. Now we are having the dengue vaccine now. I think Indonesia is one. I think Indonesia is the first country in the Southeast Asia region that approved that kind of vaccine. Yeah. Indonesia is the first.
When can we have the vaccines? I mean, what are the schedule for vaccines for dengue?
Yeah, it is based on the approval from BPOM. It is for the people or children aged 6 years old up to 45 years old. So you are, so you can get that shot.
Anytime, basically.
Okay, good. That's actually good to know because again, these cases right now, we see them coming up almost on a regular basis. Now, doctor, can you explain to us a little bit, because we hear about Wolbachia innovation testing, and I think this has something to do very much with the dengue. Can you explain to us a little bit more of that? Yes.
Yeah, it is very interesting topic. I can talk about this maybe hours.
You only have 1 minute, doc. Sorry. Just kidding.
Okay. Actually, Wolbachia is an endosymbiont bacterium. endosymbiont means it is natural, happens in almost 60% of insects around the world. We talk about insects. So insect is, I think, the most populated creature in the world. So if we call it as the 60% of those insect species, so we said that Wolbachia is abundant in the surface of the world, right? And one of the interesting that Aedes aegypti as the main factor of dengue infection naturally do not have Wolbachia in their body.
Oh, okay.
Other mosquitoes have Wolbachia, but not Aedes aegypti. That's why the scientists from international, they try to inject this kind of bacteria into the mosquito egg by using the very micro injection method, and then they can replicate in the mosquito. And the most interesting effect is that Wolbachia can block the replication of dengue virus in the mosquito. So it means that if this kind of mosquito can replace our natural Aedes aegypti, so means that even though that mosquito contain or infected by dengue viruses, they cannot transmit it to human.
All right.
Okay,
Right.
that's the idea. That's the idea. And then this Wolbachia can be transmitted into their generation. I mean, through their mother line, they can through their offspring. And then the idea is why we do not release this kind of mosquito, because it is the good mosquitoes, right? They already contain Wolbachia in their body, and they do not transmit dengue. That's why it is the main idea. And then we start to do the research in Yogyakarta. We started maybe from the end of 2011, testing about this kind of research. And then first we tried to release the mosquito into the very small area in the Sleman and Bantul district. It is maybe only in four sub village, dusun, very small areas, maybe cover about less than 2,000 people inhabit that. And then we can, at the end of 2014, we can conclude that the mosquito from our lab, because we produce mosquito in the insectarium, in the laboratory, and then we provide meal to the mosquito, okay? And then we want to know whether they can survive in the natural habitat of Aedes aegypti, wild Aedes aegypti. And then the end of that time, we concluded that Aedes aegypti carrying Wolbachia can survive in the natural habitat. And then we moved to the Yogyakarta city. Yogyakarta city is very large, not as large as Jakarta, of course, but it is larger than only Sleman and Bantul area. And then we did the clinical trial there. Basically, we divided Yogyakarta city into 24 clusters. 12 clusters, we release mosquito at the 12th cluster as a control. And then the most interesting result, at the end of 2021, we got the result, and we already published it. There was the reduction of dengue infection up to 77% reduction.
That's high.
Yeah.
That's really high.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's
The
quite an
cases
effective
is,
way.
Right, yes. The effectivity is very high because we can reduce 77%.
Right.
And also we can reduce up to 83% of hospitalization. You know, as I said before, that the spectrum of dengue infection is quite large, right? If you got dengue, you don't have to be hospitalized. But if you get the severe dengue, you have to to be hospitalized. Yeah. By doing this technology, by using this Wolbachia containing Aedes aegypti, we can reduce those hospitalization. So you can imagine the cost effective we can save if we use this technology for dengue control in Indonesia.
Right.
Yeah, that's the study, the research, and then because of that good result, the Ministry of Health adopted this technology and tried to implement to other cities in Indonesia.
And I'm wondering, Doc, so how about the other places that haven't have the Wolbachia? So how do we keep mosquito away aside from using Wolbachia?
I mean, yeah, actually, also the most important message we deliver to the community and also to the stakeholders is that we don't want to replace the other dengue vector control program. For example, you still have to eliminate breeding site. Yes, you have to do that. You still have to do that. And we got vaccine. You have to. I hope you all can get vaccine. And then all of the dengue program that already planned by the Ministry of Health still going on. We do not want to replace those programs. We only hope this can complement. I mean, complement other programs because again, until now there's no silver bullet to conquer dengue until now.
But Doc, how about like the citronella spray or like the sticker to prevent the mosquito bite for like baby, for example? Is it like effective, quite effective, or not?
Yeah, several methods the program for the dengue control. One is the insect bite prevention. So still we can use the repellent, and then yes, still you can do that. Or maybe those like insecticide or spray insecticide or coil obat nyamuk bakar. So everything you can do that.
You do everything.
And yes, you do everything. And even though if in your area there were many cases of dengue, usually Puskesmas or health district office do the fogging, right? And then it is still continue. You can continue fogging, and then we don't worry about our Wolbachia mosquito because it is already established. If it is already established in one area, it can sustain.
Right.
It is also one of the advantages of this technology, sustainability. Yeah, after release, and then we got the very high percentage of Aedes aegypti containing Wolbachia. It can stay or establish in your area. So it is sustained.
Doctor, what about the medication? I mean, is there any such medication to treat dengue? Is it only to reduce the pain, or the scientists are now developing a new medication to combat the dengue in the future?
Yes, unfortunately, until now, there's no specific treatment for dengue. We still do not have the antivirus. For example, COVID, we have, it is new disease, but we got a new drug for antiviral for COVID. But we don't have a specific drug for antivirus for dengue. And mainly the management of dengue is to the early detection and then the fluid replacement. Because in the severe, yes, only fluid replacement. But if you cannot take the oral fluid because of you got nausea and vomit, very, very bad, and then we had to give you the fluid from intravenously. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Egy, thank you very much for the talk and for the information that you've given us. This is very, again, very, very beneficial for us to learn about. Again, for me personally, Wolbachia was really good, and hopefully that I know that some of the areas in Jakarta, in Indonesia, you know, you guys have implemented the test results. So, and I think it's working. And
hopefully.
Indonesia too. So yeah, hopefully just all over the other parts of the world too. So Dr. Egy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too. You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, especially on the rainy days like today.
Yeah.
You have, you know, water there somewhere on the retainer or anywhere. It's actually a good habitat for the eggs to eat.
Yeah, for the eggs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and also for the fogging, where I live, they do that. The management do it about, you know, once every 2 weeks.
that's
Again,
good.
something, you know, it's better than never. But then again, from within ourselves, we really have to take care of our own houses first.
That's
right?
right, our surroundings.
Other than that, I mean, it's really not going to matter much. All right. All right, guys, now we're going to take a quick break. See, the stories will continue, and we're going to play, I think we're going to play a game. So stay tuned.